How's it going, you guys? Welcome back to the Kneady Homesteader channel, and I know it's been a minute since I've made a video. We got hit by that really bad flu bug, and it, of course, instead of everybody being sick at the same time, we were one by one, and all 5 of us ended up getting it. And then we had a big cheer competition, actually 2, kind of back to back for Mina. So a lot of traveling with that, and then we kind of we got to go into the whole anniversary of our accident. So I know so many of you have walked next to me through this grief journey that I have shared here on my channel. Sharing my testimony, sharing our healing journey. And for those who are new to my channel, 4 years ago today, my husband and I took our 2 youngest children out to dinner for Valentine's Day. It was the night before Valentine's Day. It was Saturday night, and you know, I was talking to my girlfriend Angie on the phone that day, and I was like, I just don't want to go. I just don't want to go. I just want to stay home. I just have this bad feeling. And, you know, she was like, girl, if you don't want to go, just tell him you don't want to go. You know, he won't, you know, get upset. And I was like, no, it's Valentine's Day. You know, he wants to take us out. You know, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go. And, on our way home after dinner, we had a great dinner, and Matt was on a weight loss journey. His goal was to beat diabetes, type 2 diabetes, which he did, and to lose 100 pounds, and he was at the 90-pound mark. And that night, he ate half of his dinner and asked for the other half to go home, and I said, babe, you know, it's Valentine's Day, you know, and like, eat your dinner, enjoy your food. And he said, no. He's like, yeah, for those of you who knew Matt, he's like, woman, you know, my health journey doesn't take a break, doesn't stop on holidays or, you know, special occasions. And so he packed up half his dinner to eat the next day. And that dinner never made it home. In fact, when my boys went to the truck at the wreckage yard after they had done everything they needed to do with it, they found his takeout at the bottom of where my feet were in the truck. So we were hit head on. The impact, we were going 55, which was the speed limit. The drunk driver who hit us was going 75. So, and it was a straight on impact. It is a miracle that any of us survived. Definitely a miracle I'm still here, because it was my end of the pickup that actually took on the impact. And so it's, you know, for a long time it was really, I had a lot of survivor's guilt on that. And so, but I have videos on that, and I'll leave links up above for anyone who's new and is interested in watching those. But I thought I would talk about where we are, where I am, 4 years into this grief journey. And I think anybody who suffers from grief, when you lose someone, especially tragically, as somebody so close to you, it is something that I have reconciled now, that is going to be with me forever. It's never going to leave me. It's never going to be easy. This is as good as it gets, as they say. I just carry it better. I'm stronger. So my strength in carrying it is a little better, but some days I'm tired. Some days carrying it is a lot, and that's okay, you know. 4 years in, I have learned a lot about moving forward. And it's, when you, especially I think when you are in a tragedy like we were in, I found it very hard to move forward without feeling like I was leaving him behind. And yet I had no choice. When I can say there were many days I did not want to move on. If I could have taken it away, I would have, but there is no choice. No matter how much I screamed, no matter how much I cried, no matter how much I begged and pleaded, I was still breathing. My heart was still beating, and I was still alive. And so you have no choice but to keep living. So how do you do that? And I think for everybody it's different. I think for everybody's journey is different. It's meant to be different. For me, I turned towards my Father in heaven, to the Lord. I drenched myself in the Bible because it is an instruction manual. I wanted to learn what the Father taught and would tell me on how to do that. And I reckon it to the story of Lot. When God said, flee and don't look back. What I have for you back there is no longer for you. You've got to stay looking forward. And I think that's where a lot for me, the pain was. Every time I look back, every time I would say things like, it's like speaking the enemy's words over you. So they're cursed. They're curses. It shouldn't be this way. He was supposed to be here. He's supposed to be raising his children. We were supposed to grow old. Yet all those things. When I talked about being in 3 years of surrendering, learning how to surrender and what that really meant, the biggest part was surrendering what my future looked like in my eyes, what I wanted for myself, what I wanted for my family, what I wanted for my husband. Those were never the plans. God never intended that for me. God knew, the Omega knew all along and knows how my story ends. He knows how my story goes, step by step. And me injecting myself into his plans for me, for his glory, is what caused me the pain, the most pain. So when I was able to learn to surrender that, when I was able to really say, no, Matt had a purpose, and when his purpose was fulfilled, he was able to go on to the Lord. Me injecting what I thought our life was supposed to look like versus what our lives were actually supposed to look like were two totally different things. And so my season of surrender was really surrendering that plan. And it affects me today. I have a hard time planning for the future because I throw it up to the Lord. I don't know what the future looks like. I don't know if I'll be here to see grandchildren. I don't know if I'll be here to raise Mason and Mina until, they're grown and out of the house. Lord willing, I am. But I don't know. So I really do live for and in the moment. And I really try not to focus on the past or in the future. I just try, this is all we have right here, right now, right here, right now. So living in the present moment has alleviated a lot of that pain and suffering for me. The one thing I would say that I am struggling with 4 years in is the legacy that Matt leaves, and me being the keeper of that legacy. So last night, you know, Mason and I were talking, and I was asking him how he was doing, and he said, I'm doing good, Mom. I'm doing good. And I said, I asked him, like, are you starting to forget about Daddy? Like, how are your memories? Like, do you still remember him? Do you still... And he kind of laughed, and he said, oh, yeah, of course I still remember him. And then he looked at me, and he said, Mama, look around. Like, Daddy's everywhere. You talk about Daddy all the time. We talk about Daddy. Daddy's here. Daddy's all over the house. Like, how could I ever forget him? He's a part of our life. And he's like, you're doing a good job, Mom. I'm doing good. I don't want you to worry. I'm doing good. I'm all right. And he just gave me that smile, and he looks so much like Matt. And so he gave me a hug and gave me a kiss, and he ran off to go brush his teeth and go to bed, and I went into my bathroom and I ugly cried. That's the thing that I worry the most about. Like, am I keeping a light for him? Like, am I keeping the light, the lamp lit, the oil filled for him? I want our babies to grow up knowing him, like he's just away. Like, he's just away. He's just not here physically, but he's here, you know, in spirit. And I want them to know, like, all the things about him that they wouldn't know if it wasn't for me, you know. The stories, the kooky things that he used to do, the things he liked to eat, you know, the places he loved to go visit, his little habits, his little, like, I try to breathe life into him by sharing those things as much as I can, but not over, like, making sure that I'm not, like, living in the past like that. It's a balance. It's a balance. You know, it's kind of like keeping the light for my mom, you know, by sharing, you know, stories about grandma and, you know, things of my childhood and, you know, those kinds of things. So I would say probably 4 years in, that's my biggest struggle right now, is just making sure that I'm doing right by Matt's memory, and that the kids grow up knowing him, and that I'm doing it justice, you know, while still building a new life for them, and living in joy, not living in happiness. It's another thing that I really learned this year, is that there's such a huge difference between being happy and being joyful. Because happiness is like sadness, you know, it wanes, it comes and goes. Those are feelings, those are emotions. But being in joy, like having a heart full of joy can never be taken from you, even in the midst of the pain, even in the midst of the suffering. And really securing that, not just for myself, but for my kids. And this goes for my older kids too, because, you know, they miss Matt as well. So so that is something that I've been working on a lot this year, and just being present, just not letting a lot of noise distract me from being in the moment. But yeah, I was talking to a girlfriend this morning about anxiety and grief and panic attacks and like some of the things that have helped me. And so for me, like not only did it help my injuries, but it helped quiet my mind. I'm not an artist. I'm not a creative person at all. I wish I was, but I am not. I think art class was one of the classes I might have failed, or just slipped by with a D. But my occupational therapist and my grief therapist had me start coloring. And so I started just with pencils. Actually, I started with crayons in the hospital. And then when I got home, I bought some colored pencils. And then I bought some gel pens. And now I moved into these alcohol markers. And I've been coloring. And they help a lot. They help with grief. They have helped me with anxiety, worry. It just quiets my mind. I have another girlfriend who is a therapist who explained to me what happens with the brain when you do something creative. So I was telling my girlfriend this morning, find something that you enjoy, like a hobby, or like if you knit or you crochet or you do pottery or you garden, or when I was injured, I couldn't really do a whole lot. I mean, I did a little bit of coloring, but I found a lot of joy in my chickens. My chickens became my therapy animal, and then I got turkeys, and I just fell in love. We have since added 3 cats to our home, and I will tell you, animals are so healing, and to be able to pour and watch my children pour their love into animals has been incredible. It is so healing. I'm actually watching another widow on Instagram, and each one of her kids, now her kids are teenagers. She has 4. And I think each one of them got like a rescue animal. And so I think one got a dog. I think there's some cats added into there. And that has helped them. So that might, if you are struggling with grief, that might be an option, being able to pour in your love into something, another, living creature, whether it come in cat or dog form or chicken and turkey form. That has helped. These jogging outfits, they're from a brand named Comfort, and they're weighted. That's why I have it on today. It's not heavy though. They describe it as it feels like a hug. It really does. Finding even like a weighted blanket. We had a weighted heart pillow that one of you had sent us, and I put Matt's cologne on it, and Mina would sleep with it on her chest. And she did that for almost 2 years. Now she doesn't need it anymore. It's just on her bed, but it was a weighted heart pillow that she would sleep with. So something like that might help if you are walking through grief. Finding friends who will not only be there for you to talk and to just sit and hold your hand while you ugly cry, but friends for me that pray over me. Like, that has been a complete game changer for me. I watched another widow who lost her husband and a son and her sister-in-law and 2 nephews in a tragic car accident. And she was talking about grief, and she talked about, not only do you lose the people that you love or the person that you love, but you also lose your friends. And that hit me hard. And it is true. So if you're walking through grief and it's like a secondary grief when you lose the people around you that you love and that you poured into, and they just abandon you, or they're waiting around for you to get better, for you to get over it, for you to just be Heather again, not understanding that who you were dies with your person. And you really have to figure out who you are and create yourself all over again. It's like multiple layers of grief, multiple layers of death. And so grieving friendships, but God is so good. The goodness of God is so amazing that He, I promise you, will replace them with friends who can handle your grief, who can handle your pain. And for me, the Lord brought people into my life that pray over me, pray over my children. My girlfriend Wendy right now, every hour on the hour, she says, I have a different prayer for every one of you and your family. Like, prayer warrior friends prayer, the power of prayer works. It's why we do a prayer circle here on my channel. When you have people praying over you, all of you, so many of you prayed over us after our accident, and I felt them. I can't explain it, but the power of your prayers were so powerful. I felt them in my core, and they sustained me. Prayers sustain people. So if you have someone in your life that you love that is grieving, pray for them. Like, if you feel, I've had friends tell me, I feel so helpless, but what I can do is sit with you and I can pray with you, and that's like the best gift you can give someone. So, in fact, there's a new widow at our church, and I love this woman so much. I got her a shawl. It's kind of like, not super weighted, but it is super soft. And it's something, you know, as a widow, you're so used to being hugged and touched and, you know, loved on. And so when your person is gone and that touch is gone, it's really, really brutal. And you ache. Your body literally aches. It's a touch deprivation, which is a real thing I suffered from, and I didn't even know something like that existed. My aunt bought me a shawl when I was in the hospital, and the nurses would tie it around my arms, and so that I could feel like I was being hugged. And when my nurses would come in, even my the assistants and the food lady that would drop off my food, everyone would come in and just give me a hug, and it helped so much. So if you know of a widow, or even a widower, maybe give them a shawl, or like I said, a weighted blanket that they can wrap around them, and they can feel that hug, that touch. And I know I've talked about this a lot. This is Tony Evans' book, Hope for the Hurting. Tony Evans lost 5 of his closest people in his life, including his father and his wife, within 2 years. And both of his daughters were diagnosed with cancer, all within 2 years. And so when he wrote this book, like, this spoke to my spirit, because he was a man that walked through grief and grieving and death and moving forward. You never move on. You can only move forward, and you have to rebuild your life in whatever way that looks like for you, or more importantly, for the Lord. Because when I stopped praying for the things that I wanted, and I started changing my verbiage, and I started praying for the things that God wanted for me, and for me to have the eyes and the ears of discernment and the obedience to press into His plan for me, not my plan for me, my entire world changed. And so if I can just leave you with one thing, that would probably be it. But 4 years, in so many ways it feels like my body and my injuries, I'm technically as healed as I'll be. I still struggle. I struggle with chronic pain. Some days I walk with a cane. Some days I struggle just to walk at all. So physically, I'm through it. And sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, this, like, it just happened. I feel like 4 years, I still feel like, okay, I'm just now, like, I'm still in the process of, you know, getting my teeth all perfectly adjusted, because I lost my teeth to the accident. And then in some ways, it's like 4 years, it feels like 400. It feels like forever since I've seen him or heard him. And so it's kind of crazy, that dance that happens with time. I just remind myself when I start spiraling, and I start looking back like Lot did in the Bible, where she turned to a pillar of salt because God doesn't want us to look back. He wants us to keep going. You turn back and you turn bitter, looking at a past that was never meant for you. So, in these trials, these sufferings are meant to build us, not to break us. Build us, strengthen us, bring us closer to being holy, like He is holy. So reminding myself of that when I want to look back, when I want to think of all the woulda, coulda, shouldas. No, that's not what God had for me. That's not what He has for me. And I need to refocus myself. Get my heart posture right. The enemy wants us looking over our shoulder. He wants us looking at that past, questioning God, being angry. That's what he wants. That's what the enemy wants. That's what he works for. No, can't have it. Can't have me. I am a daughter of the King, and He is strengthening me, and He is honing me, and He is refining me in that fire, and He is pruning me. He's pruning the dead off of me, the things that do not matter, the things that impede me, the things that hurt me, the things that burden me, the things that bring me suffering. I am in good hands, and He is sovereign. And so that's where I'm sitting 4 years in. I miss Matt every day. Every day. It's a homesickness feeling. I feel the same way about my mom. You know, you get that homesick feeling. But that is the payment for the love that I have for them. They deserve that. They deserve that. They earned that. I love them that much. That missing them makes it that they mattered. Their lives mattered. And so my tears for them is the price of that love. And they're worth it. They're worth it. As long as I don't stay there. My mom or Matt wouldn't want me to stay walking with that sorrow or that pain, that anger. It's a distraction. It's a distraction for my calling and my purpose, which is to glorify the Lord, to give Him all the glory, and to let others know that He loves you so much. He loves you so much. And I'm going to leave you on that. My hour-long chitty chat. I love you guys. I will never be able to thank you enough for carrying me and my babies through this. And continue to carry us through. And, you know, you're not alone if you're walking through it. You're not alone. There's so many of us out there. We're all going to bear the scars of grief and loss. It's just part of life. But it's okay. This life is very short. That's why you need to spend it where it matters. Yeah. All right, with that, I love you. I love you, and the Lord loves you. And I'll be seeing you soon. I got wheat berries. I bought wheat berries, so we're going to grind some wheat coming up here shortly. I'm excited. And I also really want to color with you guys. For those who are suffering, I really want to do that. It's really laying heavy on my heart. So I might do that too. All right. Love you. We'll see you soon.